Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised, and, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Well, hello everybody. Good morning. It's Tuesday and I'm here for the coffee, the conversation. Oh, we got a great show lined up for you today. Hello. How diddy hey, friends. We got Ned Flanders here in the chat this morning. Good morning, Hugo. Jim, good morning. Nice to see you. Real quick update. Just a reminder, Path of the Pale Rider campaign is over. We're about a week after, and credit cards are all settling, and surveys are out. So if you have a survey, especially if you have a survey with a t-shirt on it, please make sure you fill out your survey, because next week when the funds come in, I want to do some ordering, and I need to know what t-shirt you want. So, of course, I need to know the size, all of that good stuff. So make sure you fill out your survey. Yeah, it's bring your own brew today. Sorry. I wish I could reach through the internet and hand you a coffee. That would be something, wouldn't it? Show up to the show and I hand you a coffee. That would be the best show ever. I would show up for that. What else is going on? Oh, I finished the first draft of Psycho Sal 7. So that is going to be coming up real soon. I know William Russell is chomping at the bit. He's wrapping up Psycho Sal 6. I think things are being shipped out. Don't quote me on that, but you guys got to read that one. It's a hot mess. That was the first one, I think, that I finally got the mature content rating. I was like, woohoo, hold my beer. I can do it. So there's that. And then, I also, speaking of other creator-owned projects that Laurie is a part of, I'm also a part of, I don't know if that's updated, of BD14. So if you guys are familiar with Big Dog Inc., Tom Hutchinson does great work. He's been creating this universe for a long time. And I love the anthologies because that's usually when he's like introducing new characters that maybe have showed up in other things, but not really gotten their own story. So there's 3 stories in this. I wrote one of them. So here's Blue Jay. That's her first appearance. I wrote the one called Allison's Wonderland. And if you're familiar with Big Dog Inc., they write this series called The Legend of Oz Wild West. I think it's Wild West. And it's Dorothy Gale in the Wild West. It's really good. I had a chance to read, obviously, the source material because I got to go write this one. And there's a ton there. And so this is really interesting crossover. It was a challenge and fun at the same time to try and craft this issue to be what Tom wanted, because there was something specific that he was going for here. So these pages right here is my contribution to BDI. So definitely check this out. As you can see, it's a monster. He launched on Saturday, so it hasn't even been going for a week yet. And they do fun stuff like National Cow Appreciation Day. So they have one of their characters dressed up as a cow. It's just really funny. What's this? You know what? Can we get Tom to update Kickstarter profile photo? It looks like Babyface. This one, yeah. Look. I mean, he does actually look like that when he shaves his face. He looks like Babyface. We always tease him because when he shaves his face, he looks like he's 12. But it's funny. It's just funny. So yeah, so check this one out for sure. I got the super special cover, Niai Rafino. This one with Allison with the poker cards flying around. That looks super cool. Plus, it has my name on the front. So I needed that so I could show it off. Anywho, enough about me. That's what's been going on in Laurie Calcaterra land. But I'm so excited to talk to my guest today because he and I have been like moving in the same circles for a while and just haven't had a chance to really chat. So I'm very excited to have Mr. Paul Pate on. Let's give him a welcome. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Laurie.
Hey, good morning,
It's like we
Glenn.
were like at a kegger, and I'm holding my cup over here on this side of the crowded room, and you're over there, and I'm like, I want to go talk to her. But
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like we need to mingle. We need to get to know each other better because everybody, we see each other on social media, and it's like I really dig what he's doing, but how do I start a conversation? So like this is the best way to do it. Come on the show And then I can pummel you with questions. You can pummel me with questions, and everybody else just gets to hang out and ask questions too. So,
yeah. And I've been waiting. I've been waiting like a year to finish my book.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I didn't want to get on and start talking about my book.
Yeah.
Until it was done. So
really?
That's where I'm at now. I'm done and it's out. So I'm like, now's my chance to talk to Laurie.
That's exciting though. Congratulations on finishing your book, but you have multiple books, right?
Yeah. This is the third in a series.
Amazing.
And it's taken me like centuries to complete them. So
why do you say that?
Well, the first one came out in 2011. So
okay.
Then it was 2014, and then it was 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but this is not the only thing I've worked on. So it's not the only projects I've done. I've had other shorter comics and animated films. So.
Yeah, that's where you and I think, connected, is because your animation. I was over there watching some of your animation, and I was like, we need to talk. And then I think it was like a year ago.
Right. And I probably had, I finished up an animation called Samurai Tie.
Yeah.
And versus the corporate, look at that, Laurie, I can't even remember the name of my own stuff. So corporate cyborgs, yeah. So but then after that, I began work on my third graphic novel, Detective Perez Autotropolis. And so that took me a little over a year. And so
Jim says, wait, is this animator Paul Pate or author Paul Pate?
I'm the author. The animator is, out of commission, man. Animation is tough.
I was gonna say, it just depends on which hat he's wearing today. he's got a couple. He'll bring one out later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, so that was it was about really a year and a half ago when I started. I remember it was February of whatever 23 that was. Yeah, 23. Well, I actually started writing it, and then
I want to go back all the way to the beginning.
Okay.
I want to hear your origin story. Like, how did everything start for you?
Yeah, well, first, before we started to do that, I want to talk about like some funny parallels between you and I.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Because I was born in Texas.
Oh.
And we moved to Michigan, and I'm writing stories about like Rust City, like the city, northern, Rust Belt city.
Yeah.
And I noticed you're from Michigan who moved to Texas, and now you're writing about a cowboy.
Yeah, and he's from Royal Oak.
So I find it kind of ironic.
Yeah. And what's funny is I was reading your story, and even though it's Rust City, it reminds me of Detroit.
Yeah. Well, so my origin story is this. I was at college and I quit because I wasn't doing good. And I moved to Flint, Michigan, because that's what you do.
I was like, of all places, Paul.
Yeah. So, and I had a roommate there that had this big collection of comics. He liked X-Men, all that Spider-Man and all that stuff. And I've always been an artist, love drawing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would draw like football players and trucks and horses and stuff like that.
Texas.
Yeah, right. I mean, I always say I was a little kid in Texas. I learned to draw by drawing trucks, horses, and Jesus.
Yeah.
So, but when I looked at my friend's comic collection, it was the first time. I was like in my early 20s. It's the first time I really paid attention to comics because I was getting into fiction, like books and movies as well. Just starting to appreciate the idea of fiction. So it's the first time I looked at comics and I was like, wow, this is great. You can go nuts with comics because you don't have to, there's no limit in terms of the story, right? You can go to outer space. You can have giant mech, tech stuff, and you can have, zombies or whatever you want to do. And you don't have to, all you got to do is draw it,
Right. You don't have to worry about
have to draw well sometimes,
makeup.
Right?
Yes.
So I just was fascinated by that. So that was really where the germ of the idea for a comic started. but then it took a long time for me to develop the story of Detective Perez. And so finally, when I was ready, in life, just ready to, in a position to be able to spend some time to work on it, I sat down and created Detective Perez, Welcome to Rust City. And it's just a noir kind of detective story that takes place in a town that's inspired by Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, so which is kind of almost a suburb of Detroit,
So were you writing about the water part before or after the Flint water crisis? I'm just curious.
Yeah, actually, I finished the second book in 2014, right about when all that went down.
Oh gosh!
But Laurie, it's crazy because the first book is Detective Perez, Welcome to Rust City, is about. It's got vampires in it.
Yeah.
But the vampires are the result of like a CIA sort of experiment with chemicals in the city.
Okay.
So I was like a premonition of what was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I used to live right by the Flint River, and my God, like, what are you doing?
Did it stink?
Yeah, it was. It was terrible. I mean, it was horrible. So, in fact, now you see the red river on this cover here is the Rust City River, which is basically the Flint River. you know? And that plays a role in this story where the kid. I think you may have read where the kid jumped into the.
Yeah, can I show it?
Yeah, and the cops are like, "That's gross."
All right, so Lear, Paul was so gracious to send me like the first part of the story, the graphic novel. Let me show you this is the cover. I was just showing the front and back. So Detective Perez. And so I was reading it, and this is why I was like, this gotta be in Michigan. They're talking about this kid, and he was part of a gang. And here he is running from the cops, and he hears this bridge, and he jumps into the water. It's like the first thing the cop says, "That's gross." And I was like, "Oh no!" He's like, "Yeah, he just jumped into the river. I'd rather get caught than jump into that sludge." And then even the walkie was like, "That's gross, man."
yeah. So, yeah.
This was funny too. It's like the fat cop. He's getting away, fat ass. He's like, "Pooh."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my origin story. I think. Did I tell it right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Detective Perez was off. I do want to mention. So I saw preparing for today because I'm really excited about this. I would love to be a podcast person, and I would love to be a talker like you are, but I'm not. So, but if I can do 10% of what you're doing, Laurie, then I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. So getting out on podcasts is what I'm trying to do. I want to give that honest effort with this book. So, here's another one of these things that I wanted to write down.
What?
That I wanted to tell you that you're the Joe Rogan of independent comics. I hope you don't take that's to compliment.
Thank you. I don't think I'm anywhere close to that level, but thank you. That's a great compliment. I love having people on the show, and I love talking to independents because I get to learn so much too.
Right. Yeah, it's great. I did a little podcast maybe 10 years ago, and that was one of the things that I noticed. Is that as you get exposed to people, you get inspired.
Yes.
You really appreciate. It's like appreciating the art form more, and it just really leveled up my artistic knowledge and just enriched my life. Tremendously. So I appreciate what you. But then since then, I'm like, this is not really the role for me personally, but I'm grateful for you because you fulfill that role and you do you do it great.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you can tell you're passionate about it.
I'm dying, Pops. He's like, wait a minute. Like, who runs this network?
I am.
I'm just cuter than you, Pops. That's all. He's like, I'm the Joe Rogan of indie comics. See, he really does run the, you know, everything from behind the scenes and in front of the camera as well. So
Awesome.
I just love talking to independents because there's so many great projects out there. And having been on the other side when I first started, where I did all the podcasts, and it's like the podcasts I think are so essential to a creator when they're trying to just let people know that they exist.
Right.
There's such, you know, you do good work, people will come, and that's just it. If you build it, they will come, right? Field of Dreams. But I wanted to pay that forward as well. So I wanted to have creators on the show where we could showcase all the good stuff that they're doing, give them a platform. And like I said, I've learned so much from everybody that's come on the show, how they write, their marketing, things, the merch that they have on their, you know, on their campaigns. There's just so many ingenious ways to tackle this problem of how do you get an independent comic book scene, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's this? Asking Laurie to do the show was one of the best moves I made. I have no problem saying it. Thanks, Pops.
And I do like Joe Rogan is the Laurie Calcaterra of podcasts. Let's get it straight.
Gonna double down on that, eh? This is true. Pops and I were talking about my 100th episode is coming up soon.
Oh, exciting.
So we're making some plans.
Nice.
Because I took over the show, I think around 35 or 36 episodes in. So
gotcha.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was a show. It was a thing, and then I was it was like a panel show about nothing, and I was just a panelist on the show, and then Pops was like, "Do you want to take over the show?" And I was like, "I guess I'll do the thing."
So anyway, I'm preparing for the show. I'm like, I got to go get my Path of the Pale Rider comics that I have.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I have 3 bookshelves around the house. I got one by my bedside table.
Go on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, one in the closet over there, and then I got one back here that you can kind of see.
Yeah.
So I found them. I got them here, but I also, so back to my origin story.
Yeah.
I wanted to share with you the inspiration for my Detective Perez.
Thank you. That was one of the things I was going to ask is what are some of the influences for this story?
Right. So one of the ones that, and I would reckon, I don't want to be the guy that's like giving advice to creators or anything, but
do it.
One of the things for me personally, and I've heard this from other artists, is like envision your work when it's completed. And what do you envision? Envision it on a bookshelf or envision it on the Laurie Calcaterra Tuesday Morning Brew, whatever your dreams, hopes and dreams are, So I had found this book, Cash and Carry by Tim Broderick. And this is years ago. This is early 2000s. And the artwork, it's a noir type detective story. And the artwork is, similar to mine in a way. I mean, he has his style. I didn't want to totally copy his style, but yeah. So that was kind of, what inspired my book. This is his first book. I think this is
nice.
I don't, but so that's what inspired my books. And so when I came out with mine, they look very similar to that style. And this is the first one, Welcome to Rust City.
Gosh.
But I added my own angle to it. So
isn't that such a feeling when you get your own book in your hand?
Yeah, that was really awesome. It was so fun. I was watching a video of, I just came across it last night, of L.A. Cunningham. It was a couple of years ago when she first did like the opening of her first book where it had her name on the cover. And she was so excited, She's like, oh my gosh, look at this. It's great,
I partially deafened Paul Hayden because what do I say? ASAP Imagination printed my books in the UK, my trade paperback.
Okay.
And so he had a copy before I did. Now, of course, I rebound this because that's what I do, right? But he had a copy before I did. And so he was like, look what I have. And he brought it up and I screamed. He had headphones in. He was like, ow. I was like, I'm sorry. No, that was quite the feeling to see it, like it's a real thing,
Yeah.
And even my husband was like, this is quite an accomplishment. And I was like, why, thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. And to you as well. I mean, that's an amazing feeling to be like, I made this.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that inspired me. And then of course, there are movies and TV shows like I love The Wire and
I was gonna say The Wire. Yeah.
Homicide, Life on the Street. That kind of inspired me. There's vampires in this book. So I love vampire movies, like the cheesy vampire movies where they're leaving the campground and everybody's dead except the girl and her boyfriend. And then he's, they just escaped and she thinks she's finally made it out of there. And she looks over at her boyfriend and he's a vampire.
No.
That kind of
Which
thing.
movie is that?
I don't know. I saw him when I was a kid, and I was terrified by it. I was way too young for them.
Now we're going to have to find that movie.
But you remember how Interview with the Vampire ends, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of thing, just vampires, I get a kick out of them. So
yeah.
I'm like,
Anne Rice vampires are specifically very interesting to me, because I read a lot of her books. So it's different, obviously, like you get a different perspective than when you watch the movies. And I think the old Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise movie was, where I think the canon should be. I haven't seen the new one, to be honest with you.
I haven't either. Well, and to me, the Interview with the Vampire was a great movie. It was totally different new and different to me as far in terms of vampires. But the ending was classic vampire, and I was like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, where he was like, I want to be a vampire. And he was like, you missed the entire point, you idiot. You're like,
yeah. He thinks he's kind of out of there. And then Lestat was in the back seat or something, wasn't he? He sat up.
Oh, yeah. Lestat was like, oh, you want to be a vampire? Here I am.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'll give you the choice I never had. So
yeah. Yep. So so that's my origin story, and I've really enjoyed the making them is pretty fun, but the biggest excitement is when it's done and you get one in your hand and then somebody says they read it and they liked it, and that's just an awesome feeling. And then being part of the indie. Oh, so what I was going to tell you was when I was looking for your comic, I going through all my bookshelves, I started grabbing. I got piles of these indie comics. I mean, I really like Batman. This is great. But I've got so many comics, and so I started separating them out, like between like regular comic book size. I got. So the Path of the Pale Rider.
Yeah, I think you have one of the classic ones too. It's the black and white version, right?
This is yeah. That's the first, right? Well, but then, so there's those. I've got like all kinds of. I've got unique sizes. Like here's an extra big kind of compared to that one, comic, and it's whatever you call it, the bound edition. Then I've got small ones, smaller ones.
Yeah.
Real small ones. I've got so many. I'm like, I didn't realize how I've got stacks here of all these different
What's going on in the chat right now? First of all, Lou, we love you. And I feel like you're a part of my family too, Madness and my family. And I know you're here in Texas. I agree. We should have a get together. Hugo, Sam, Lou, myself, anybody else that's here in Texas. And this just started. Okay, that's great. I'm really interested in the numbers on that one. last week's show, we had a guest on that had just the most ridiculous story, and I just shock and awe laughed through probably 2 hours of the show. And we made shorts, and that one is the Octocock is short is now playing on YouTube. We'll see how that goes. So it's gonna be a fun day. And then usually Jeff Bracey is on the show asking what the heck is Path of the Pale Rider anyway. Good morning, Ryan. How are you? So anyway, I just had to check in with the chat because oh yes. Look. I want to wait, let me put this back up here. So we were reading this, and I gotta say, you guys, I just got to read like the first 30 pages. I'm hooked on the story already. Because there's exposition going on while this action is happening. He's talking, okay, so here's Detective Perez, and he's talking with co-worker, another detective at the office about this kid and his unfortunate circumstances. But you get to see like this kid running from the police. And so he's talking about who the kid was and like his situation as you're watching this chase. And it's like, did I just read 30 pages? It felt like it was 2 seconds because you're just sucked into the action of what's happening and what they're telling you. And then there's funny moments. I had to laugh at this too. You hump. Come on. It was hilarious.
So this, Laurie, this was based on a true story.
What?
So I'm talking to this guy for work, and we're on a video call, and he lives in an apartment in the city where I live, and he's like, hang on a minute, and he's like, hold on, and he like leaves, and he's like, sirens and stuff are going off, you can hear him in the background,
Yeah.
And so what happened was this somebody stole a U-Haul truck in the apartment and took the police on a joyride. He took it on a joyride. This is real life. It happened. And he ended up jumping in the river.
Shut up.
This isn't, I don't live in Flint anymore. It's Grand Rapids, but he ended up jumping in the river, and the cops, caught him, and it was on the news. And what's funny was there was actually somebody went live on Instagram and posted the police chase as it went by.
Look, you guys, this is this is so funny. This kid steals a U-Haul, and there's just boxes flying, and I just love this cop. He's like, you've got to be kidding me. It's just like, it's Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Why are we doing this? Like, and I just love how the walkie was like, suspect headed east in a moving truck. He's like, excuse me, a moving truck? Like, all right, did I hear that right? Here's the U-hump.
U-hump, yeah.
And then I wanted to show, I thought this was cool too. I was like, what's the Mars Land Rover, aka Wally, doing?
Yeah.
Just dropped a bunch of tacks.
So are you familiar with Buick City?
No.
So Buick City is a site in Flint that used to produce like 20. Oh gosh, I can't remember. There was 28,000 people that worked there. It was the largest.
Okay. So it's like the Buick factory. Plant.
Pardon?
The Buick, like the manufacturing plant.
Yeah. Back in the 60s, 70s, they produced more automobiles than anybody in the world. That was and they call it Buick City. Well, now if you go there, it's just like this. It's this ruin. It looks like a bomb went off there.
Is it empty?
Yeah,
it's just abandoned.
They shut it down in the 90s.
Gosh.
And it's 250 acres or something like that. Anyway, so I named it Autotropolis instead of Buick City.
Here we are.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's probably what it looks like. Yeah.
That's like a similar to what it looks like. And so I imagine all these squatters going in there and using the stuff that they have available to build whatever, because just because these kids are people that live in the city don't have any opportunities doesn't mean that they're not very resourceful and very intelligent.
Right.
You know, so I imagine them going into this giant ruin and using the equipment there to make, you know, the little Wally robot and help the bad guys get away from the cops. So
at first I thought it was one of the cops that were using it. And I was like, oh, wait, no, the cops ran over all those tacks. And I was like, someone else is driving that thing.
Right.
So just to recap the story, the detective is talking about how this kid was an informant because he and his gang were opposing this other giant gang. And what's his name? White Shadow?
Yeah.
White Shadow is kind of like the guy calling the shots and wanted to unify all the gangs. And this kid, Carlton, and his gang were kind of like the last holdouts, and they were all slaughtered except for Carlton. So it's like, it's just really interesting to me who this White Shadow is. You know, it's like, I hope you'll show us who this is. And I know like he could be something bigger than life. You know, if they're building Wally robots, it's like, what else are they doing?
Yeah. Okay. So one of my favorite characters of all times is Kaiser Soze.
Kaiser Soze. Yeah.
So I wanted the just the name, the White Shadow, to instill fear in in the reader. And then I was like, that's great. I love the White Shadow. You know, let's have another character like that. So then we have this. So I ended up having three characters like that in this story. But I don't know if I pulled it off, but they all come together in the end. And
well, I'm ready for more. I would like to see what else happens in this story for sure. I feel like Detective Perez is going to end up either in here or somewhere over his head. He's going to be in trouble. Getting the stuff out.
I'm actually just want to let you finish the story.
I know. I was like, and then it's like, it must have been 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And then here's the conversation. And then I was like, oh, this is where it stops. I'm like, dang it. I was like, I need to know more. Like, this Carlton kid seems really interesting and he knows something. So it's almost like I need to know what he knows. So I can definitely see like The Wire. I can see definitely Flint City with the water and like just the whole thing with the cars in Michigan. Like it just feels really interesting to me, like homey, because of course my background as well. So
yeah. So it's available on Amazon.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to ask you. Let me look at this. Look at this, everybody. Now I tried to get my stuff on Amazon and they made me jump through like 12,000 hoops to the point where I just gave up.
Okay.
But this is amazing. So yeah, you can click here and follow Paul Pate on Amazon. And so whenever he posts something, it'll let you know. But this is great that you have your whole collection here. So
thanks.
Which one is the first one? This one?
Actually, the one in the middle is the first one for some reason. Yeah.
Welcome to Rust City.
Yeah, and then the Rust City Stabber, and this is the Rust City Stabber is actually another one, you know, ripped from the headlines.
Yeah.
There was actually a serial killer in Flint back in 2000. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 or something like that.
I was gonna say it sounds vaguely familiar.
And he was going around stabbing black people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just switched it up, and he was stabbing Mexicans in my story. So, so great fun. You know, I have my friend Juan Cruz. He's the first guy to get stabbed and killed. You know,
you're not.
He's
nice.
like, I hope I die in a good way.
They're like, hey, buddy, can I use your name in my story? He's like, yeah. Am I gonna be a badass character? You're like, you'll be a character.
Yeah, everybody loves. So you know, that's fun. That's a great thing about it. Oh, that's another thing I was going to tell you. With all these piles of comics that I have around my house, the great thing is like I get this beautiful comic, Path of the Pale Rider. So I'm gonna pull the color one out, and I get to talk to the author. You know.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about this. The next one.
Yeah, that's number 3.
Right. I couldn't even find 2.
You're like, it's around here somewhere.
So, and then, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about too. So I don't do like a Kickstarter for mine.
Mhm.
You know, like I said, I want to get it finished. I don't even want to talk about it till I'm done. The only thing that I did is I posted it as I worked on it. I posted it on Instagram.
Well, and let me be clear, you are the writer and artist on your books, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So as I was working on them, I do like a little stream Saturday morning cartoons. Every Saturday morning, Pate, you know, you can find me on YouTube, and I'm just putzing around drawing. And then as I finished a page, I would post it on Instagram. And then when I got all done at the very end, I deleted all of it and it's on the book, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I really didn't want to, you know, post about it or talk about it until it was finished, because I want to be able to say, hey, here's the book, you know, everybody, if you're interested, go buy it. And then they can buy it, you know. For me personally, that's how I wanted to do it. But I love the whole idea of the Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter, like the community and all the comics that are coming out of Kickstarter, you know, it's incredible. And you know, you're you know, the you know, you're like one of the ones you look at and say, how is it done? This is how you do it, you know. And so but the only problem that I have with Kickstarter is when I buy it and then I gotta wait, you know, so long, and then I forgot that I bought it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was talking to my friend the other day. One of my favorite movies ever is Unforgiven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you remember when the one guy who shot the other guy in the toilet? And I was like, I don't remember that part of it. You know, this is one of my favorite movies. I don't remember that because it's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
that is the double-edged sword. And it just depends on, I think, how people are running their campaign. Like
right.
My friend Corissa Grant, she's running her campaign and her books are already done. And so when you back her book and the campaign closes, she's just shipping you things. Myself, though, I can't afford to pay out of pocket for my artist. And so that's why we Kickstarter is to help pay the cost for the artist team and the printing. And it just depends on how quickly the artist team can put the project together. And so when Marco was involved, it would take a good 6 months, especially for like issue number 2, where he did pencils, inks, and colors all by himself. It takes a lot longer. So, but now I have Gilbert Perez, who is just taken over pencils and inks, and he's 50% done with the book. So it just depends on, you know, artists and what's on their plate. Because Marco usually had 3 different books he was working on. Gilbert, this is his first choice. This is his passion. This is what he wants to do. Right. And so we can probably turn around a comic a little bit quicker now that Gilbert is involved. Not saying that it's any, you know, less quality or anything because of Marco. I'm just saying it's just that's the difference is that with the time. But I get you. Like we were turning out maybe 2 books a year.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's how long it takes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I was like really excited that, you know, I'm a big fan of yours. The extras too are awesome, like the puzzles, and here I got a card.
Super cards.
The hot sauce. And you know what I mean? It's like this is wild, you know. It's just really fun. And
I try to make it an experience.
The puzzles though, I can't do any of them.
Yes, you can.
No, I fail at all of them.
Like issue 3, all it is a QR code scavenger hunt. So all you have to do is scan the codes and it takes you to YouTube for 99% of them. It's just like trailers to Tombstone or The Quick and the Dead. I have silly stuff like He-Man singing 4 Non-Blondes and the Swedish Chef making hot sauce.
Nice.
I have zombie ones like Train to Busan. I think I have the Matrix in there. One of them, though, is a video that I put together based off of Path of the Pale Rider. And if you find it, it's like you're stumbling upon. Are you familiar with the hacker group called Anonymous, Paul?
Yeah.
And so in our world, we have the Undead Underground. Yeah, not that familiar, right? Let's be honest. Let's try not to, because I feel like if you poke that bear, they poke back.
Right.
We are aware of them, but we
I'm a
don't
big
know.
fan. I'm a big
much.
fan. You guys
Right?
rock on.
You just gotta stay out of their way. But that's in Path of the Pale Rider. We have an organization like that too, called the Undead Underground. And so you're gonna see a video that looks like it has an anonymous feel to it, but it's the Undead Underground teaching you how to do something that's like fight back, push back, against the regime, which is taking rights away from the undead. So one of those links will take you to that video. So that's what I like to do. Is what is this? What did I stumble upon? And it's interactive.
Great.
So
I love all that kind of stuff with, comics. You do this whole world building and you can just go off on these different things. But for me personally, it takes me so long to do a book. And like you said, I'm the writer and the artist. So I want to focus so much that I don't even want to do, anything extra. You know what I mean? I just work. And then I haven't drawn much in the last couple months just because I'm taking a break and don't want to start on a new project. But I did want to come and onto podcasts and try to get it out there, because I've got 3 books that people can buy if you like that kind of thing. It's not the typical, comic book, but it's comics, and it's
amazing. I mean, like Lou just said, she's a true crime junkie. So, I mean, I love true crime. I love watching Netflix documentaries.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like. The Stairway, where it's like there's the question of they show you like, oh, it's really positive, like maybe he didn't do it, and then the next episode they're like, well, maybe he could have. You know what I mean? So there's this back and forth of what's really true and how do you uncover it and what does the evidence say. I love that kind of stuff too. So I just want to show people real quick again. This is on Amazon. You can look up Paul Pate. You can look up Detective Perez. I'm going to drop this giant link into the chat so people can get that. Maybe that's a way to do it. Let me go. You have it so nice in your DM to me. I'll grab it from there. So that's a way that you can support Paul and see, that's the hard part too, is at least with Kickstarter, when people are supporting the Kickstarter, they're also getting the books. So when you do it all yourself and you're not running a Kickstarter, what platform do you then put your books on so people can get them? Right.
I know I'm missing out on the Kickstarter audience, because it's where people go for comics now. I mean, it's such a great, it's like it's the new comic book store,
Yeah, but still there's risk involved. So some people won't Kickstarter because of the risk.
Right.
And I mean,
there's the risk, and then sometimes the wait.
So at least with like Amazon, this you can purchase the book and Amazon ships it to you. So there's really no guesswork there.
Right.
You're not waiting 6 months, And unfortunately,
I didn't want to spend time mailing things, so there's pluses and minuses too.
Yeah, there always is.
So, but I can't wait. I really love Path of the Pale Rider. But I was doing the I want to support you. I'm doing the Kickstarter, but then I'm like, I can't. I'm going broke on these Kickstarters. So I want to, but I just wanted to show you that I'm not averse to like going in big. So here's one. This is a local Michigan artist. I don't know if you've heard of Caitlin Smith.
No, that's gorgeous.
This is a beautiful book, but it's the omnibus of her comic that she's.
Wow.
Let me show you this.
I'm gonna make it.
The artwork is great, and she's the artist and author and artist.
Yeah.
But over years, she finally completed enough to put an omnibus together. So I know you've got the first. Was
4.
It the first 5?
4. The first 4 are in a trade. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Me too. Yeah. # life goals, right? We got 8 more issues to go before I can do the first arc in one book.
Oh,
It's
okay.
12.
Okay, 12.
So-
And there's like 26 or something like that.
There's 36.
36. Okay.
Because
So
I wrote it as
yeah.
a movie, and it's supposed to be 3 movies, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
each movie, each arc is 12 issues. And so that's why I was like, we'll break it up into smaller things. Like we'll do the trade paperbacks for every 4 issues. And then I can throw in some bonus material. So we can have a collection. There'll be 3 trade paperbacks, and then we'll do like a book of 12. You know what I mean? Of all 12 of the first arc together. So someday, right? Someday we'll get there.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I love the story. You know, it's
Thanks.
like I said, coming from Texas, you know, I've got
Yeah. Put the hat on.
Jude St. Clair.
Rah! I would have known. I would have
this-
brought mine.
I wore this on Artcasters one time, and
Yeah.
my little name is Jude St. Clair. You know,
Did you? They were like, wait a minute.
What's that?
Were they like, wait a minute?
No, they're kind of used to my nonsense. But
Yeah.
yeah, and all the little, you know.
Yeah.
Look at that! It's a playing card.
Yeah, I gotta
That's
order the next 2. So we have
that's
5
awesome.
so far. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to like make a, you know, love to do this kind of stuff, like make a Rust City board game, you know, or something like that. You know,
You
what I mean?
totally should.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't. I can't do all that, you know.
Yeah, you can.
I want to. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to make another book. So, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, all it does is enhance the experience, right?
Yeah.
Because
Anyway.
the first thing that we did was the Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Right.
And now that's just an add-on. Anytime, you know, we run a campaign, people can add on Choose Your Own Adventure if they want. So
That's fun.
it just enhances the experience. So it'd be cool if like Choose Your Own Adventure book in your world, where it's like you're in the same precinct as Detective Perez, and maybe you come in contact with him, but you're running something different. And your choices determine, you know, whether you solve the case or not, or you get shot by the White Shadow.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, dang it, Laurie. No, I got to do work.
Yeah, well, my goal a long time ago was to make 3. And so I did the first 2 and I thought, this is too much work. I'm done. And then, you know, just how life goes, I was finally ready to make my 3rd. And now after my 3rd one, I'm like, I'm definitely done.
No.
But you know how artists are. We get a
You
while
got to be
here.
making something.
Yeah, so who knows? But I'm on a hiatus at the moment.
Well, I mean,
Mental health.
yes. Once you complete a big project, and how many pages is the
200.
last one?
200.
So that's a ton of work. And like you
Yeah.
said, it was like 10 years of your life, right?
No, a year.
A year. I'm sorry. I thought it was 2014 to 2024.
But I only worked on it for a year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, but 9 years later, I was finally ready to work on it.
Gotcha. I was like, but that's still, I mean, you've been spending a long time on this story. And at some point you can say like, it's a wrap and maybe do something different.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have other stories in there, Paul?
It's hard for me to come up with a story. I'm not like, you know, like you probably are, you know, super, I got a ton of them coming out of my ears. That's not how I am. I mean, for me to come up with a story is kind of exhausting. So I've been thinking about one, but what I want to, if I do another one, it's going to be not Detective Perez. I'm kind of done with Detective Perez.
Yeah.
Because he went in this book, he goes through, he ends his sort of evolution. You know what I mean? A character goes from A to B. That's a story, especially like a detective story. Your detective goes from A to B. He definitely like went from. He landed at Z. He didn't. I won't give it away. He didn't die, but. I'm done with him. So
Kids,
Now, what I
they're
might
still
do,
here.
what I might do is write another Rust City story, and
Yeah.
then use one of the criminals as the
That's
main
interesting. But at least you don't have to do the world building again. It's everybody is still walking around in that same, they understand,
Yeah.
you know, the rules of that place
Right,
instead of
right,
starting
yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah,
But
like some of the characters I've used in all 3 books, you know,
mhm.
because they're, you know, but each time you get to learn a little bit more. And maybe like Perez will make Detective Perez could make a little cameo or something.
Mhm.
You know, that'd be fun. But it's just so much work, you know. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing something shorter.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just won't
Always-
do anything at all, Laurie.
Or maybe you could get involved with a writer, you know, someone like myself who's like, I have this idea and I'm not an artist and we need someone to do it, you know, to help us bring our story to life.
Yeah.
So then when you don't have to write.
Yeah.
It's like you
yeah.
could just do the art thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Possibly.
I mean, I would think I was on another podcast and I was talking about like, well, I don't draw my own comic. I rely on someone else to do that. And someone in the chat was like, if you don't draw your own comic, you're like cutting your worth in half or something like that. And I was like, no, I know my strengths. My strengths are in my writing.
Mhm.
If I wanted to learn sequential art, I could, but
Yeah.
it would take me 10 years maybe
Yeah.
to master it and to get the quality of what I can get right now by hiring this person who's an expert in their field. I was like, I don't want to wait 10 years for my story to get out. I'm going
Yeah.
to pay the professional to do the thing that I
Yeah.
can't do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
100%. Yeah. So it was, you know, we kind of talked about this. Like when I first came up with this idea of, you know, comics and I liked them. And of course, the first thing I did was like, you know, hey, let me do like these big submission pages and I'll send them to Marvel and DC and become, you know, and then I realized I didn't like that. Like, it's just, you know, that didn't appeal to me. And then so over the years, you know, I tried different things, lots of different art forms, you know, like you said, just being the artist and getting together with an author. I did some children's stories and things like that. But you know, as time goes on, you find out what you're good at and what you like, and you accept what is not your strengths, and you let, you know, like I'd love to be like a talking head podcaster, you know, like Laurie Calcaterra.
Laurie
I mean,
Calcaterra, talking head, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of fun, you know, but I'm not that guy, and so now I'm comfortable enough to say, you know, that's just not me. Laurie's doing a great job. I can become a fan of hers and follow her, you know, and so it's the same kind of thing. I think it's like, you know, don't find your lane and
yes,
go, you know. So,
but you can still like, I find with writing, it's like I wrote my own story and I'm developing my own project. But now I'm at the point where it's like I was talking about writing Psycho Cell and writing anthologies for Big Dog Inc. And so that kind of gives me a chance to explore other ways of being creative within my own lane. Because Path of the Pale Rider is so long, I'm gonna be working on that forever.
right.
I'm gonna be like 94-year-old lady at Comic-Con,
Well,
like I'm on the Kickstarter for issue number 35. Like, but it's still
you gotta
it's
get
like
it
it
done
lets me
before I croak.
explore. What's that, Paul?
You got to get it done before I croak.
Well, not with Gilbert with the fire under his butt. It's like,
yeah.
well,
Now you've got momentum though.
Yes,
which is great. So, do you have lots of stories? Like, do they
do?
You're one of these people that.
Yeah.
Tons of them. So you have an outlet for more of them, right?
Yes, and I don't know if I'm ready to bring some of those other stories. I feel like Path eats up so much of my time. And it's just now starting to take off. I really want to spend time with that one before I bring out something else. But I have other scripts. Like I have a web series that I wrote, so live action series called The Agency, which is spy versus spy, heavy action, martial arts.
Right.
Not anything like Path of the Pale Rider. And I have what, 12 issues of that already written. So yeah, but I mean, like that could very easily translate to a comic. So that would be great to have that see the light of day. But I don't know. It's timing too. Because I've been told, and I've seen this in action, that's like you build your audience with one story. You introduce the new story. You think that audience is going to come along. They're not. You got to start from the beginning, building the audience.
So yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah, and to build up an audience the way that you have for Path of the Pale Rider, and you get this momentum.
Yeah,
you don't want to lose that.
Right.
You have that too. You have to keep that going. That's
right. So then the agency
pressure.
would be in addition to Path of the Pale Rider. And do I use the same artist? Do I keep like Gilbert focused on Path, where he just does Path, and that is like a well-oiled machine? So then I have to have another team for agent. You see what I'm saying? Like,
no, 100%.
There's only so much time in the day, and there's only so much Laurie to go around. So I would love to do those other things of my projects, but it probably won't be until Path is a little bit further along.
Yeah, that's interesting. So when you originally wrote Path of the Pale Rider, it was a screenplay.
Yeah,
Did you write it like in the screenplay format?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it was one giant script, and then we broke it up into 12 issues. When Marco was involved, he was paneling from the script, from the
screenplay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
so you didn't yourself like reformat it to a comic book script?
Not when Marco was involved. Now that Gilbert is involved, I am doing that.
Okay.
Because Gilbert likes the traditional page 1, panel 1.
Right.
So it helps him organize the page. So I am doing that. So I did that for 5, and it took me a few tries. You know, I had done that the first time with Psycho Sal, because that's the style that they were used to. So I learned that format with Psycho Sal, and so I understand it, and like I have a program, it's Celtics, that I can write that way. But it's interesting. It's like how many pages, like where do the page turns happen?
Yeah.
How many, how much room do we need for dialogue? And so we must have changed the script for 5, like how it's paneled and formatted. I think I changed it about 4 times for Gilbert. Like we'd get to a point and he had drawn something and I was like, we don't need to put anything else on that page. So whatever else I had, I shifted it to the next page and like rearranged things.
Yeah.
So
and then I've never really done it, but I've heard that, you got to, depending on the artist and the writer, you have to get a sort of symbiotic relationship going.
Yeah.
Where it works well for you. How much description do you put on for a panel, or how much do you leave it up to the artist, And does the artist get annoyed by too much description,
See, my problem is I'm more likely to give them less instruction, and they're like, give me more, I'll be descriptive of the action, but I won't tell them like what camera angle, how close do you want it, stuff like that. So was my challenge, is giving him more, and then having us have an understanding like what, because I came from film production too, like he's like, what is these notations of camera angles? I'm like 3/4 shot, wide shot, what does that mean, so that way we understand each other. So there was just a learning curve there. And I mean, like the more issues we do, it'll become that streamlined symbiotic kind of relationship the more that we produce. But right now at 5, we're still figuring out that process. So it's been a lot of conversation. And then when Matt, our colorist, was coloring pages, he had some input too. So it's just, I feel like it's always changing. But with you do it all yourself. So are you scripting the panel, page 1, panel 1 for yourself, and then going and acting it out? Yeah,
exactly. I script out the whole book, because especially since it's kind of a mystery, I don't want to just start going and then get 100 pages in and go, oh crap, this character needs a hat on, and then I got to redraw
100 pages of hat.
Like I got one character that's got a certain style of shoes, and it is really important to the plot, And so I had to know this when I start drawing, because I don't want to get 5 pages in and have to redraw stuff.
Yeah.
So I scripted it out, page 1, panel 1, 2, 3. And mine is like, I did like a standard, like almost every page has 3 panels or maybe 4. Every once in a while, I'll break it up with 4. Let me see if I get it. I don't know, but they're usually just 3 panels, so it's pretty simple. But then every once in a while, I'll try to have a dramatic, a full page, or I'll do like a lot of action with several panels. I can't find any. Here's one. Here's one with 6.
Wow.
Panels like that. So
what's the decision behind making more panels, showing more action, conveying time?
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, pacing.
Pacing.
Like you were talking about. The turning the page. You want to take that into consideration. Like when there's not a lot of dialogue on a page, the reader might turn the page quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a lot of dialogue, like this one, then they're going to turn the page slower. Or if there's a lot of action, this thing is a lot of action, they're going to turn the page slower. And I think what I like to do is I want the reader to have like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like you want them to read slow and then quick, and then slow and then quick. You want to take them on a ride. And so that's kind of what I try to pay attention to, is just mix it up, and if it's getting a little bit slow, a lot of dialogue, then give them a big action scene where something happens, a lot of action, and they can turn the pages quick if they want to, or they can, dwell on the artwork, because there's a lot of, artwork on a page sometimes will slow the reader down. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure.
And I'm trying to think, I think I do something similar where it's like, okay, there's action, conversation, action, conversation, action. So it's like we try to spread out that action and pacing so that way it's just not like 7 pages of the end of just dialogue and you're like, okay.
Right. Yeah, that gets dull. I think the reader, I always enjoy turning the page because you can't wait to get to the next page. Something fun I did with Autotropolis was this is kind of like the extras. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, show us. So, and then Jim, I want to get to your question. I'm sorry it was a while ago, but I want to make sure that we ask it. We'll get there.
So what happens is they go into this big they have like this big sort of like Mad Max Thunderdome kind of meeting, and it's going to be hard to see probably, but
I'm going to blow you up.
In the background is this crowd in the background.
Yeah.
Back right there. So like here's a character and here's the crowd in the background. And I had a lot of scenes with this crowd in the background.
Yeah.
It looks just kind of gray, but it's back there. You can see some people.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I drew this big giant poster of the crowd, and then I just reused that in the background.
Yeah, you just moved it around.
Yeah,
I want this
for
section.
Like 20 or 30 pages.
That's amazing.
Crowd, but I should have sent you that one. But I do have a.
It's like, was there aliens on that panel, by the way?
The one that I just showed you.
Yeah.
No, there's the. I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's White Shadow. Here's White Shadow. He's a cool looking dude.
Wait.
There. Wait. This is White Shadow. Yeah, he's a creepy dude. And then I want to show you the King. There's a character called the King. Well, here's White Shadow again, and this is Aunt Viv, who's is another one of my Kaiser Soze characters.
Yeah.
And then there's another. The third one is the King. And there he is, and that's what you might have thought was an alien, but it's.
Yeah. Okay.
He's.
I was like, it showed like 3 little alien people in the background.
Oh yeah. There's the aliens. That's the name of the gang.
That's the name of the gang. They dress like that.
Alien Posse, I think is. Yeah, the Alien Posse is the name of the gang.
Yeah, I was like, did you
that's
just
right.
show me aliens in this book?
Yeah. It's just, it just is wild. It gets out of control.
You're like, it's beyond Thunderdome, and then you showed us aliens, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. So it's
wild.
It's how I know I've watched you enough in reading Path of the Pale Rider. You just throw in stuff that you like,
Yeah.
like
put it all
guns
in.
and cars and gangsters and shootouts and
Yeah. Lou says, I love me some alien shenanigans.
That's right.
She says, I intentionally left out dialogue on the first comic page. I wanted the pictures to tell the story. That's we did that as well in our first issue, and it's a challenge to try and convey what's going on with just images. You know what I mean? It's hard to do.
I have a silent actually have a silent.
You have a silent comic?
I have one.
Aren't all comics technically silent?
Right. I want to show you this. This is wild.
Yeah. And then I do want to ask you Jim's question. Jim's question was, if you had one music artist or band score Detective Perez, who would it be?
Mine would definitely be, I know Jim pretty well. His favorite band is Sly and the Family Stone. So
yeah,
mine is like that 70s funk. It's kind of like the blaxploitation, theme to it. That would definitely be for mine. What about for Path of the Pale Rider?
I'm gonna go. You're all gonna think that I want a Western band, but no, I want Trent Reznor to score it. He scores amazing. He has amazing movie scores, and he's done video games. He does amazing work. So I would love for him. 9 Inch Nails,
right?
9 Inch Nails, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Path is so dark at times. Like, we could have some Western twang, but like, it's really dark at times.
Yeah,
where it's like it needs that gritty music. All right, show us the silent comic. I'm interested in
this.
this.
A friend of mine, Ken Lamood.
Yeah,
this is like, look at this
book.
Here's another one. Both of them, they're both silent comics. And what I mean by silent comics is there's no dialogue.
Yeah,
but it's just
that's
this great,
cool.
Great story. It's told without any dialogue. The whole
Blue. Wow.
So comics are wild,
Yeah. You know what's great about this too? You can sell it anywhere internationally.
Right. Well, that's another thing. He's Filipino.
Yeah, so you don't even need to put.
He lives in the States, but it's his culture,
We could have a Bon Jovi song. It's cool.
Hey.
I'm pretty sure Trent can emulate any artist he wants to because he's.
That's right. What's that song with the?
Bon Jovi.
The Bon Jovi where he's a cowboy.
I'm a cowboy.
Yeah.
On a steel horse I ride. That one. Yeah. Wanted, dead or alive. That one. There we go.
That's totally
I had to sing it to remember it. I was like, that one. Yeah, that would be a great song for Path, man.
Yeah. I do like the Trent Reznor idea, though.
Yeah, I really. Oh, Blaze of Glory. Yeah, that's it. We did this in my group. So there's Path of Pale Rider group. And we came up with a soundtrack for Path of the Pale Rider. And I let people just, tell me what you think. And they came up with the wildest idea.
Yeah.
How is this? And they're like, go listen to it. I'm like, okay. It's like the Sunshine Band. And I'm like, I don't see how this fits, guys. But when you listen to the words and they're talking about like
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Oh, that's funny. I would like that for Rust City, actually.
There you go.
Have you ever done a fan casting for Path of the Pale Rider?
Yeah, we were just talking about this because there's one character in particular I'm having a hard time with.
Which?
So I was thinking, what's the guy from Supernatural that plays Dean?
I don't know.
He was in The Boys. Gosh, I know his name. He's
in The Boys?
He was in The Boys as the Captain America parody. Dean from Supernatural.
Oh, Tony Starr? The guy that plays Homelander?
No.
Oh.
What's his name? God damn it. Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles?
Jensen Ackles, this guy. For Jude St. Clair. He can be like rough looking.
Yeah.
He's sarcastic.
Tough guy.
Yeah, I had a post on this. So I was like, here's my fan cast for some characters. And for Prince, the horse, I had like a can of horse meat.
Nice.
People were like, they totally glossed over it, or they were like, excuse me, what the F? It was like
some glue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I was thinking Dean for Jude, but I don't know who to pick for Dwayne Fink. That one's hard.
I have to. It's been so long.
Dwayne Fink was the drunk guy in issue 2 that fell off the table, who claims to know how the apocalypse started. So he's like a skinny, but he looks just like he's crazy looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I had Jeff. Wait, one of the Jeffs. Which one? Jeff Bridges? Because he does some westerns and he's been in some stuff, right? But I don't think he's quite crazy enough. Like, he has kind of that look.
You know, what about the guy who plays in Fallout? What's his name? I'm so bad with names. Have you seen
character?
Fallout?
Walter Goggins?
Yes,
Walter Goggins would be great.
Yeah.
He would be great.
He would be good.
I was also thinking Tobin Bell.
Hmm?
Walter Goggins. Look, he could totally do it. Give him some white hair. Be crazy enough. And then I think I was looking at because Tobin Bell has been in. He was the guy that played Jigsaw, but he's also been in westerns. He was in Quick and the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he could pull it off as well. Being that crazy guy. What do you think? I don't know. He's getting pretty old though. He's 81. He might not be around. He definitely won't be doing his own stunts. We'll just put that. So then who would you fan cast? Who would be Detective Perez?
Well, there's an actor named Clark Johnston who I kind of drew it a little bit based on him. But then it turned. I also have a friend now who I started drawing it like him, and then it turns into its own character. I've drawn Detective Perez probably over 1,000 times. You know,
this guy,
Clark Johnston. Yeah, he was on the Wire. Yeah,
I could see.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, when he was younger, kind of, maybe a little bit. But.
I don't want this. Go away. Dang it. Clicking around and it didn't work.
But actually that what's his name? Tobin Bell?
Tobin Bell?
He would have been great for the White Shadow.
Yeah. I was gonna say, who would you cast for that? He needs to be that creepy older guy.
Yeah, super pale.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Nicolas Cage. When in doubt, cast Nicolas Cage, right?
Yeah.
Like we can cast Nicolas Cage for Prince. There we go.
There you go. Have the voice.
Also, Paul, Ryan Permission runs a podcast as well, and he would love to have you on the show, so I can connect you later if you like.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Nice collections of hats there, Indiana Jones.
Thank you.
I have a hat similar to that as well. I just didn't. I don't like to wear it with the green screen on because it cuts off part of the hat.
I got you. That's right. Yeah.
Some of the hats don't work.
Yep.
This is my new one. It says you have died of dysentery in Big James.
I love the riddles that you post. I haven't seen one lately, but like, what would you do if you're the sort of like the moral dilemmas?
Yeah.
Like I can't think of one.
I call them the grim questions, and we did those with the trade paperback, and I could bring them back. But it's like, what would you eat a hamburger if it still moved?
Right.
Or it's like all the ethical questions, like what would you do if your child was undead?
Yeah.
And that was really interesting because I found out real quick who has read the book and who hasn't. Because they were all like, I'd put the child out of their misery and shoot them. And I was like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work in this world.
You can't kill them.
You can't. And I was like, they're just going to continue to, but they're not trying to eat you, but they will get chaotic and they will be crazy. You won't be able to control them, or they might, they might try to collect the poor kid. It's
wild. Yeah,
it's wild. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yours is not just a zombie. It's a great twist on the zombies, right? Because it's the zombies that don't die.
Right.
Which, yeah. I mean, obviously zombies are not, that's the definition of a zombie, but yours is like they don't die ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, they don't die. And it's great when people start thinking, because I've had people show up in my DMs and then we're still in the first part of the story where it's like you're dealing with what do you eat and how do you deal with insects and the government and the overstep and blah blah blah. But what happens to these people when they are bones?
Right.
And they're still here. What does that mean? What does that look like? And it's like when people start thinking about it, it's like, oh, what does happen? I'm like, we will get there. And I will answer that question, but I'm not going to talk about it yet.
Well, what it made me think of is like that old, that saying all the people that are on the earth right now in 100 years won't be here. Right? It'll be a whole new set of people. And 100 years ago, it was a whole different set of people then. And 100 years before that. And but if none of those people died, how many people are here? How many undead are here?
Yeah, where do they go?
Are they 8 billion people, or are they 80? I mean, I don't even know how many.
Well, you got to imagine that the birth rate will probably go down because we have less food, we have less water, and more chaos. So, do we have a medical system in place? Have things been overrun by gangs of the undead? So it's going to be a lot different. So
well, and it's been a while, and like I said, I only have the first 3 issues, but I assume we're going to get to the origin of the it's not in there yet, right?
We don't find out what did it until I think 10. We find out.
Gotcha.
And then 11 and 12 is kind of like dealing with it. So
yeah, there for a little bit. Zombie, like The Walking Dead, and what was it? All Among Us, or that it kind of
Last of Us. That's what
Last of Us. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I was watching that one time. I had to turn it off for a minute, just due to anxiety. I mean, I was like, "Don't go in the cellar! Oh my God, don't go in the cellar!" I had to pause it and go get a drink. But there for a while they were kind of cliche, but yours is a great twist. I mean, I like it. It's more scientific, I guess, or more philosophical, I think.
It's both. Is what I was that's what I was aiming for, because it's like, and I think it was Tom Hutchinson that was like, "Oh, you're dabbling in existentialism." And I was like, "You're right." And I was like, I never really thought about it that way, but it's like, once you're dead, are you still human? What makes you human? And how do we treat each other when we feel like, you've lost that humanity? And then, ask Laurie what that. Stop. See? Now he shows up. This is what Pops was chuckling about earlier. He's like, I'm standing in for Mr. Bracey and asking what the heck is Path of the Pale Rider.
You guys asked Laurie what Pale of the Path Rider is.
We were talking about that before the show. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Parody where some dude is just walking around with a bucket.
Nice Pale water that he heals people with. You have a sore? Let me fix that for you.
Yeah. He just fixes stuff. He's got magic water in that pail. Oh my goodness. So yeah. Hey Jeff. Yeah, welcome. I forget what we were talking about. Anyway, existentialism and I took a real sciencey approach to the story, and I think oh no. Here come the dad jokes. Is that where they kick the bucket? Is it a crab bucket?
Chum bucket.
It's a scum bucket. That's where isn't that where they make the Krabby Patties, the scum bucket?
That's right.
So
yeah, that's a great twist on it.
thank you.
That's fun. Yeah.
I
So
think people will enjoy it.
I also wanted to ask you about, now we can deep dive.
Yeah.
About your martial arts.
Oh yeah.
So have you always been involved in martial arts?
I started 1997. I was 17. And I started training in it was Indonesian martial arts. It's pencak silat. So it's a lot of close quarters, lots of weapons. They have like animal styles, so snake, crane, tiger, monkey, etc. It makes it really interesting. They're quite in depth. And then I started learning some Filipino martial arts as well. So like Kali and Arnis, Dose Pares. I currently study under a teacher named Vico Perin in the art of Kali Illustrissimo. Illustrissimo was a gentleman that lived in the Philippines. I want to say he passed in, I think, the 1990s and at a ripe old age. I think he was 80 plus something. But Paul, when I talk about a crazy martial art, this one is it. Like this guy started out in the bayonet crew and then became part of the Coast Guard and was fighting pirates with swords on ships. And then retired from that and became a hitman for the mob in Manila. That was his profession.
So wait, this is the guy who is the founder of the martial art that you currently study?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
Yeah. And so he never like strove to teach people anything because again, that's his trade. That's what kept him alive. So he didn't want people to know kind of his tricks, right? Because he was he was trying to survive. People were fighting back. So it wasn't until he was, I think, in his 60s where these three guys convinced him that they wanted to learn his style, but it wasn't systemized. Like, you know how karate has belts and like you go through a process and you learn, these things and then you get this belt and you move forward. He just had his fighting style. And so one of the three would spar the old man is how they called it. And then the other two would take notes. And when that guy was too beat up, they took him out and they put another one in and they would continue sparring and trying to figure out the method that this man used. Because again, he wasn't a teacher, he was a practitioner.
Right.
So that's how they came up with this system.
Okay, so that's how it turns from a warrior into a martial art.
Yeah. And they would do things like get him drunk and then spar him and see what came out. And it was nuts.
Oh my gosh, you could write a story about that.
Yes. Yeah. Just the stories that this guy had. And he was very active doing demonstrations well into his 80s. And for me as a woman, I'm smaller, my reach is shorter. I'm always looking at how do I get an advantage? How do I compete against someone who's bigger, stronger, and maybe multiple opponents? And so if this man could do this martial art well into his 80s, that's the one I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Because things like Muay Thai and those jujitsu, it's pretty hard on your body. You get joint problems, hip problems.
Yeah.
They're not usually practicing into their old age.
Now, how much of it would you? Do you call it an art? Like it's obviously it's applicable to combat or self-defense or fighting, but hopefully you never have to use it for that. So how much of your interest in it is the art form of it?
The way that I see martial arts being an art is how we personalize it, because your body and my body are built differently. And so you can take things from the system that works specifically for you you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I might do more combat geometry, like with my footwork and making sure I'm positioned right, where you don't have to think about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's where I think it becomes an art, where it's like we're all learning the same system, but you can tell by certain moves we're doing the same style, but we're all moving differently, and it's our own internalized art because of our body type. But for me, it's beauty in the movement, and to be efficient, because all that extraneous movement, all the extraneous time is what gets you killed. So being able to think and be efficient, to me, is the beauty behind it. You know,
Oh, that's cool.
it really is. And it's like you can feel the difference in your body when you do it and you practice it, and then the light bulb turns on. It's like, this is how it's supposed to feel.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So
Right. Cool.
but fine-tuning and fine-tuning and fine-tuning until it's like it's the perfect movement. That's what I think is so cool. Yeah. All about personalizing the art to your own physicality. It's super important.
Yeah, and your spirituality too. I mean, it's your whole it's a life, you know. What about like so you were interested and you did some work, right, with in film.
I did.
Yeah, with your martial arts, right?
Yeah, that's how it started.
Okay.
It was really weird. I used to work for this company. It was they leased copy machines to businesses.
Okay.
And I worked in
following so far.
I worked in the financial department, and so like admin, and one of my coworkers was a photographer as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so she knew this production company, and they were always calling for extras. And they were shooting you want to spar Laurie now and see what she's got? Bring it.
I don't.
That would be fun. I love sparring. I love it. As long as we're padded up and I don't lose an eye, we're good. You got to deal with my sticks and knives, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm staying in my chair.
You're like, I'm good, thanks. So she was like, hey, they're looking for martial artists to kind of fill in the gaps for this music video. There was an artist from Detroit who was filming this music video called I'm Like Bruce Lee, and he wanted to do martial arts in it. And so I volunteered when we showed up to the shoot, and I just started telling him about myself. I'm like, I could be an extra, or if you want, you know, like myself and some of my friends, we can choreograph it for you.
Right.
And so we ended up choreographing the fight scenes, and we ended up being a lot of the extras. A lot of the other extras kind of fell through. And so we were doing the falling down, and we were teaching the talent, and so that's kind of the thing that we fell into. And we formed our group called Trinity 60. There was 3 of us. And oh, good, you can do sticks and knives. We'll have some fun. Yeah, Spotty Daga. That's perfect. We'll have some fun. And so that's how it started. And then I was like, you know what? We need like a calling card, like a resume for the fight group. And so I wrote this short film. That was like the very first thing I ever wrote. And it was just 7 minutes of pure fights. Like there's very little plot.
Yeah.
We don't, you know, like I wouldn't call myself an actor. I dabble, but the acting is crap. But I did a wall run and a stairwell. We did a gun disarm. We had an extended knife fight, another fight, and then we ran someone over with a car. Like we were running up walls and hanging from things, and like we really went all out.
Yeah, that's wild.
And
that's fun.
That's when the production company was like, what else can you do? What else can you write? And I was like, I've never really done anything. And they were like, we would love if you would write short form web content. So that's when I wrote The Agency.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I got the writing bug. And then it was like, what else is in this old brain? And that's when Path of the Pale Rider came out. And I was writing it under, whatchamacallit, Dead West is what the original title for Path of the Pale Rider was. But there's like 3 bands that are called Dead West and like 2 other books.
Okay. Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I made a cartoon a few years ago called Redemption, and it was a Western.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about the video game like
Red Redemption.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was kind of like, I think most people thought I was trying to rip it off or something, you know.
I mean, Redemption is such a good name. There's so many redemptions out there. Like Corissa, you want to see footage? Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me go back. Because I have it somewhere. I have catfishing. This one? No. I did a little. I was gonna teach. Where is it? So now I have so many videos. Here it is. Catfishing. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. Like I said, it's 7 minutes. Oh no! Did my mouse die?
Oh no!
My mouse. Connection lost.
Is it dead?
Yep.
Ah.
I gotta go get more batteries. Paul, do some song and dance.
Yeah. I'll figure something.
Pops, jump in here. I need help.
My comic. Put me on full screen.
I can't do anything. I lost my mouse.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go through my comic collection while you're doing that. Look at this, guys. I got Path of the Pale Rider. Where's it at? Look at this. I got episodes 1, 2, and 3, but I can't find 2 because I got so many independent comics. I got a gazillion of them. So I went through and I collected I started making them in piles. And these are all my like typical where am I at here? Comic book size stuff.
The one time I'm not backstage and she loses it. Oh,
hey, it's Pop.
What's up, Paul?
Thank God you're here.
What's happening? What happened to her? What happened?
How's it going?
It's all good. Did she lose a mouse? What happened?
Her battery died.
The one time I'm not backstage monitoring things and she blows up. Here we go. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Pops. Good to meet you.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. I wanted to let you know that
what's that?
On our network channel on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you look at the playlist, every playlist, there's every different show. We got 30 shows there. There are other shows you might want to be on, like Doc's Coffee Shop.
Okay.
Doc has a noir comic book and novella.
Yeah, he does.
It's there's a bunch of shows on the network. So if
that's actually one of the things that I wanted to ask Laurie that I hadn't written down. Yeah. I don't understand what's going on with the network. There's so much content, and then sometimes I see it on a couple different channels or something.
Yes. Yes, so right now, this is on our network, on the network channel, and on Laurie's channel. Our goal is to take the network to Roku.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
This is like a beta test. Okay.
Yeah.
But Laurie's channel will still be on. Everybody's channels will still be on YouTube. I just want to move all the content up to Roku for everybody. That's what I'm building. Okay, so
right.
But like I said, we have tons of different shows on the network. So if you check out the playlist, you may find a few other shows that you want to be on. All these people are approachable and easy to find.
Okay, I'll check it out because what I've been doing is just following Laurie.
Yeah, well.
But I see she's on these different shows and I was like, I don't understand what's coming on. I just watch Laurie.
Yeah, we have
now check it out.
We have 30 different shows. Some of them are gaming shows, some of them are video games, but we also have shows like this one where people interview creators, so
right on.
You will find stuff you'll like. I'm gonna get out of here because Laurie's looking at me like I'm back.
I got
go now.
That was fine. It told me I had low battery right before I came on the show. I was like, I should have at least 2 hours of juice left in this. No.
Yeah, it's the one time I'm not backstage.
Yeah. I was like,
I was over there reading. And I heard you. That's why the bright light's on back there. I was over there reading and I heard you go, Pops!
Yeah. Oh, good times. Yeah, so this is catfishing. Like I said, we won't watch the whole thing. I'll just show some highlights, but
Oh yeah, this is good stuff. You'll like this, Paul. All right, I'm out of here.
Good to meet you, Pops. Yeah, I think I've
Have you seen this one?
I think so. This is great, but yeah, let me watch it again.
The whole premise was like she's bait. She's actually hunting him.
Okay.
He thinks he's hunting her.
Nice.
But she's the one that's actually pulling the strings, and she has backup. There's like this whole she's like a partner, and then this is what they do is they present her as bait, and if she can't take the person down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the partner comes in and they get rid of
all right, lady, turn around nice and slow. All right, give me the purse. Listen,
Okay.
Give me the purse, lady. Come on, hurry up, give me the purse. Give me the purse.
camera.
Calm down, lady. I just want the purse.
Right in the net. Some little flexible weapons.
Get off me, lady.
Man, I'm gonna need some backup.
I thought you said this was a sure target.
He took the bait. He's just the Bruce Lee of street thugs. Get here.
All right, I'm 2 minutes out.
Enter the nut. Command, I have a weapon. He did that on the second take, I think. He caught it. The whole Winter Soldier toss. So he actually, we did these things ourselves.
Yeah. That's cool.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Oh,
You have a red light on lethal force. This is capture only. You can't.
oh yeah. My mean face. So I was like, every time I watched it, I'm like, God, I'm so not intimidating. That was fun. I liked doing that. And then I really kicked him in the face.
You can't kill him.
They told me I wasn't allowed to, but I was about to break the rules. Yeah. And then, of course, backup shows up. I was like, man.
That's awesome. So, Laurie, before this, you didn't really fancy yourself as a writer?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't write anything. I was doing martial arts and living my life, and I was reading comics.
Right.
I was reading like Who Watches the Watchmen. They're like, this fight is so good too, but we're gonna fast forward. You guys can go watch it. This is my favorite part though, is when we run them over with the car.
Oh,
So
okay.
this kind of led to the agency, which is the whole idea that there's these teams that go out and they bait these criminals and then they snatch them, and then what happens? But like, he's like, why are we fighting?
What's going on? Why are we even fighting?
Well, this isn't a fight. This is an interview.
It's an interview. Then we run him over with the car.
Nice.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Hey, so I got another question for you. If you could like have all your dreams come true and any project that you wanted, you knew 100% guaranteed it would succeed,
Yeah.
what would that be?
I would love to see Path either as like a Netflix series, either live action or animated. I think that either one of those would be really cool because that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Comics is great, I'm going to continue doing comics. I want the story to be told how I intend it to be told, because that's the risk that you run when you get Hollywood involved, is they start changing things, right?
Yeah. That's the interesting thing. Like you were talking, like, okay, I work on my story and I do the writing and I do the art, and it's kind of one dimensional. Whereas if you get a writer and an artist and a colorist, and you start talking back and forth, what do you mean by that angle? And boy, you drew a page there that that's really great.
Yeah.
Let's just move the story to the next page. Now you have like the sum is greater than the parts.
Mm-hmm.
And then a movie is even this whole other thing.
Yes.
But then you run the risk of it getting watered down.
Yeah.
You got too many
Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Especially when big production companies are putting up big dollars. They like to have a say in the creativity behind it.
Yeah, they want Nicolas Cage to star in it or something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't want Nicolas Cage as Jude St. Clair.
Right.
But you can see, like, that's my concern with that. Like, because it could still become that, but will it still be Path of the Pale Rider if they start monkeying around with it? Like, I have strong female characters that have not been introduced yet. Right. And I'm concerned with what Hollywood would do to those characters, because there's a purpose behind them and there's a reason why they are that way, because that's what I built into the plot. But if they become watered down Hollywood versions of themselves, are they as impactful?
Yeah.
So,
and the story, some stories lend themselves to comics and others lend themselves to film. Others lend themselves to
video games
or just prose, and then just the translation from one to other medium isn't always one-to-one.
Right.
Like, I have this character, now it's just going to be a character in the movie, it might be something else,
Well, I think with Path, why I would like to see it on screen is that sound is so important in this world, where either being like issue 1, where Jude and Prince are trying to be as quiet as possible to not wake up Big James the Bear. And then there's other parts of the story that are so loud it's deafening. And that's part of the atmosphere. And how do you convey that in a 2D medium?
Right.
So that's some of the challenges. And then we have things like American Sign Language, where it's like those are movements. So again, we can show the beginning or the end of the movement, but you're missing out, the conversation that's happening with the hands. So that's why I think it leans more into either live action or animation. Like, if I could get the team from Castlevania, the one that did that cartoon to do Path of the Pale Rider, I could die happy.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, here's
Audio Motion Comics. What's that?
Audio Motion Comics.
Do you know what that is, Paul? Audio Motion?
I have a guess on Audio Motion Comics.
So is it like as you turn the page, you hear the audio? Like, Jeff, you'll have to tell us what this means, because I've done things like in issue number 2 where I'll put a QR code. People scan the QR code and it takes you to music that I think fits the tone of like the fight scene that's about to happen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to convey the sound behind it, but.
And I've seen, like, I guess what I don't really know what it is, but I'm envisioning, like, I've seen trailers for comics where they'll have narrators and they'll have the pictures.
Yeah.
But it's not really animated. It's, maybe that's what he's talking about. It just reminded me of one thing that I like to do is always try to incorporate smells into my comics.
Do that?
Huh?
I said, how would you do that?
No,
how do you do that?
Like, for example, like when he was interviewing Carlton, when Perez was interviewing Carlton, he says it smells like piss in here.
Piss, yeah.
Because then it triggers the imagination of the reader with one of the senses that you cannot.
Yeah.
You can't
have
have
access
smell
from
in
a
your
comic. Yeah.
you know, right? Or the same thing with sound. You can't really.
Thank you.
With sound in comics, you can make the sound effects.
Right. There's only
But-
so much of that, though. I think you can do.
Right.
Like
But-
I can usually do it. Like if I'm trying to convey how loud it is, maybe one panel. But
right.
I don't know. We'll have to figure out. There's some things that are coming that are extreme, to say the least, and I'll have to figure out what to do.
Like with comics, those senses, the reader, you kind of you let the reader
Fill in the blanks.
fill that in, somehow, or if you can trigger that with them. But in a movie, you can actually make the sound, like
Yeah.
I just went to see A Quiet Place, and they had the monsters running.
Yeah.
And they were all running, and the people were you were underneath the ground. You were like underground, and the whole theater was just it was vibrating. It was kind of awesome,
Paul is right. Essentially, what you've seen done with some trailers is a thing that started doing that 15 years back, but it never hit big. Interesting.
Right.
Lou,
yeah. The scratch.
Lou,
Take a
for
piss
those
on
of you who
thing.
saw my last short film, A Day in the Life, one of the characters is undead and he's walking around with like 6 different air fresheners on him. Well, I think at some point we do need to have a Path of the Pale Rider air freshener for the undead, so they can remain, in the presence of living, and we don't have to be grossed out.
I actually think I have one of those in my car. My wife tells me that I do.
An air freshener? How do you do scratch and sniff? I wonder if we
like
can
a
figure
dead
that
person
out.
in here.
Huh?
My wife, when she gets in my car, it smells like a dead person in here.
Wait. I thought you were talking about air freshener. You keep a dead body in your car?
No, I think I have a Path of the Pale Rider air freshener in my car.
We would try to make it smell good, though.
Oh,
Paul.
okay.
We could do a scratch and sniff what an undead person smells like. That would be weird, but we could do it. It's an idea. We're always open for new marketing ideas here at Path of the Pale Rider.
Yeah, that's really fun what you got going, Laurie. I really like it.
Thank you.
I hope it keeps going, and I hope you have
we have about
continued
6
success.
million ideas of things that we can do, and Hugo, my next short film will be another commercial. It won't be for Mentos, however.
The Fresh Maker.
But I feel like we can do a whole series of serious but funny commercials based on Path of the Pale Rider for emergencies, of course. Oh my gosh. So, Paul, this was a different kind of show. I feel like I interviewed you, you interviewed me.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm not a big talker, and with the Perez novels, I like to keep it simple. It's just like here's 200 plus pages, graphic novel. That's what you get. Buy it. Nothing else to it. If you like that kind of stuff, that's what you get. That's about it. But I do love all the bells and whistles of all the indie comics world,
and I just want to remind people that you can support Paul. Stop. Hugo, I might tap you to do some writing. I'm just saying. Please support Paul. It's so easy to be like, help support a Kickstarter, but for those artists who don't run campaigns, there are still ways that you can support and get the books. paulpate.com is one of the links. And again, Paul has his 3 books on Amazon. Let me share this tab. So you can go to Amazon. I had it up here. Here we go. Where you can purchase any of these books. Look, they're on sale, people. Amazing. You can get the paperback for $7.
2 of them are on Kindle.
Yeah.
You can get them on
those
Kindle.
are on sale for $3. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's the Kindle version.
Yeah.
Here's the actual paperback versions.
Let me pull you up here.
And they're actually 200 plus pages, each one of them.
Now, for those physical copies, do we get them from your website? Like, where do we get
No, you order them on Amazon.
the physical ones?
Yeah.
Okay, everything is available there.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
That makes
$6.99.
I mean, that's a steal.
Cheap.
Yes, it is.
If you're cheap like me, you can get it for cheap. So.
Whoops. I'm pushing all the buttons. Push all the buttons.
That's right. Go to all the links.
That's what I was doing when I was playing the commercials. I was like, start, stop. Oops. Start. Oh, nope. Start again. Push the buttons.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie, for having me on. It's been really fun. I've been watching you a lot for
Thank you.
For what's it been, a couple of years now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really enjoy just every time you're on. You have so much energy, and the way you talk about your characters and everything. You could tell you really put your heart into it, and so
I do.
It really is kind of like contagious.
That's
I think
great.
It inspires people, and yeah, I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah. And I love having people on the show. Again, I've been watching you. I've been watching your animation. I've been watching your progress as well. And it's like, why haven't we talked before? You're like, can I come on the show? I'm like, yes, here's the link. Sign on up. And it's like, this I feel was a long time coming.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great to just sit down and pick your brain, and you can pick mine, and we just have a great time. Thank you, everybody in the chat that,
I just
came
gotta
out.
know this. I gotta know if Paul knows Karen.
I don't know if he knows Karen. Did you watch any of the Slaughterville games that we played?
I don't think
Watch
so.
the Slaughterville RPG games. Laurie plays the character Karen Needlemeyer. You will love it.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
I
was like, we had just come off of playing a different campaign where it was like Tomb of Annihilation, and it was, real D&D with like barbarians and wizards and healers. And then we went into this other world, Slaughterville, which was it's a horror based. So Chris Brown writes this series called Slaughterville. It's like every horror trope that exists in our world, there's a B version that exists in this town. And so you can battle, Freddy Krueger or aliens or, ghosts in an insane asylum. And so I learned from playing the first round of D&D that the more interesting your character is, the more fun it is to show up, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
What if my character was a literal Karen? Like, gets mad when you mess up her Starbucks order.
I gotcha. Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
So I was just obnoxious in this D&D campaign, and like kicking people through doors and like bossing everybody around.
This is us right here, Paul.
She had a cattle prod.
Nice.
So she would like zap people.
Right there. Dante and Karen. That's us.
It's everybody's kind of like fantasy is to be a Karen once.
Yeah, where you just get to act out and say whatever terrible thing comes to your mind, but in a safe environment.
And Lou drew those. Lou drew those pictures, by the way. So we are a family around here, bro. You just gotta check it out.
Awesome. It sounds. I will, Pops. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we would definitely love to promote your book more. Get on some more podcasts so people know you exist. That's the hardest part, I think, is indie. People do great stuff. We just need to know that you're there, and people will support. They are supportive.
Yeah, that's why I came here.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And you're always welcome back on the show, but it's like you got to book my show so far in advance now.
Yeah,
I feel so bad. Yeah. People are like, "Hey, I have a Kickstarter that launches next week. Can I come on your show?"
When I start my next book.
Yeah, when you start,
I'll book the show.
we get Laurie's pity. We get Laurie's pity. Yes.
Where I'm like, you can't come on my show, but you can go on all these other shows.
We get the pity guests, the ones that couldn't get on Laurie's show before their campaign.
That's not true. There's wonderful creators out there.
Now I understand that Pops is like hanging around.
He pops in and then pops back out. That's why he's called Pops. Well, this was a wonderful time. I appreciate everybody coming on. Next week, I am going to be in Michigan. So there's going to be a guest host Yeah, I'm going to be in Michigan visiting my brother and my sister-in-law and my brand new nephew who just showed up to this world last month. He's born in June. So I'll be helping out with the fam because they're in that point where nobody is sleeping. I'm there to support. So next week, David Howard, aka Nem, will be hosting. So don't be surprised when you guys see him. He'll be hanging out with Chris. I want to pronounce his last name, Saloff. He does Crit. He's been on the show before, and he's running a campaign right now too. So that's what's coming up next week. So I won't see you all next week. I love you. Remember, yes.
How about a skull cane, Hugo? Will that work?
Oh, you need a sickle. He's just death. Oh man. So remember.
I can remember.
John, just stick a fork in me. Remember, be excellent to each other and kiss your babies. And we will see you all next week.
Thanks, Laurie.
Put a little madness in your life. If life makes you unashamed and comics are your estate, put a little madness in your life. Come give your mind a cleanse. Tune in with pops and friends. To turn on your Roku box and then put a little madness in your life. Put a little madness in your life. Yeah, yeah. Put a little madness in your life.
Hey everyone, I'm Laurie Calcaterra, and if you're not watching the Madness Comic Network, there could be consequences.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.